Guess my real name and I'm yours, she smirked. The human knew it instantly. The orbital bazaar of Lumine's edge buzzed around the blue-white world. Aron Vale slipped through neon fog with a courier's stride in a linguist's ears, hunting rumors of the syllabarrel, the living alphabet of the Ilari, when she stepped from a curtain of mirrored beads and blocked his path. She wore anonymity like a crown. Hooded mantle, ash on her cheeks, wrist coils flickering sigils. Her eyes were bright as welding arcs. A game, she said, voice like a chord on glass. Guess my real name and I'm yours. The smirk made it a dare. Among the Ilari, true names were constellations. Gesture, scent, rhythm, binding ships, marriages and law. Aron had studied them in wreckage and treaties. This woman was either reckless or certain he would fail. He looked and the world slowed. The ash couldn't hide faint venom-laced tattooing. Ilari vowels that pulsed if you knew how to see. Her coils shifted patterns in time with the station's engines. Consonants keyed to rotation. A copper thread edged her mantle in a repeating 7-and-2 pattern. 7 for lighthouse bloodline, 2 for exile. The air around her carried rain on stone. The note for return. Is this about contracts? Aron asked. She tilted her head. Speak me, human. Patrol passed. She watched them like a chess player who hated the board. He didn't answer. Observation deck, he said, nodding up the spiral ramp. If I guess, you'll want a view worth remembering. They climbed to a glass bowl of silence. She loosened her hood. Fatigue cracked the theater. They'll sell me to a merchant lord in 6 minutes, she said. An heir without a fleet is useful to buy. My game is a legal wedge. A guest name binds a witness partner and makes me inconvenient. Aron remembered the first Ilari chord he'd heard, recorded from a drifting lifeboat. Frightened and brave at once. He heard it now in the way she breathed. He turned and spoke her name, not as a human word, but as the Ilari would. A 3-beat pulse in the throat, a handshape and a breath. Ilaria Love 7. The last beat carried the sign for return. She flinched as if struck and then smiled like a storm breaking. You knew it instantly. How? I heard you years ago, he said. A child's song from a broken capsule. I've been listening ever since. Station alarms bloomed. The merchant lord's guard poured onto the deck. Ilariel straightened. Royalty clicked into place. The paper's clear in 5 minutes, she said. We need the bind. Witness partner it is. Aron offered his hand, palm up. Fingers set in the Ilari sign for equal standing. She matched it. Her coils mapped consonants to his pulse. The station's legal lattice threw faint blue lines over their wrists as the bind registered. Now, he murmured, popping a maintenance panel with a salvager's pick. He whistled. Drones swarmed from the seams like fireflies. Lights flickered. Gravity hiccuped. The guard stumbled. Ilariel turned 0G stutters into a dance. Her mantle scattering copper sparks to blind. Aron slipped under the line and sent a baton clattering into a brace. They fought to leave, not win. The lattice sang completion, bind sealed. Too late, Ilariel called, voice amplified by the deck. You purchase 1, you purchase 2. They made the lift before anyone decided it was. In the humming quiet, their hands were still joined. You knew my name when you saw me, she said softer. What does that make you, Aron Vale? Someone who's been looking for a lighthouse. The lift opened into a shuttle bay. Waiting there were Ilari elders. They bowed not to her, but to their joined hands. Ilaria Love 7, said the eldest. Your beacon returns, and with it, a witness. Come home. Aron had expected the bind to feel like a trap. Instead, it felt like a language finally spoken. They boarded the shuttle. Lumine's edge shrank to a strand of light behind them. Ilariel leaned her head against the viewport as stars blossomed. "Contracts can be chains," she said. "Or promises," he answered. They arrived over the ocean cities of Alara Prime at dawn. Twin suns braided gold on the water. On the landing concourse, Ilariel lifted their joined hands and spoke her name again, not as possession but recognition. Aron spoke it with her, the three-beat pulse joined by a human word. Together. That night, beneath the lighthouse's rebuilt spire, she found him on a balcony above the sea. Wind lifted the copper fringe of her mantle. "When I said those words," she confessed, "I meant them as a shield. Guess my real name and I'm yours. But you didn't take me. You stood beside me." "I didn't guess," Aron said. "I recognized you." She studied him, then nodded, as if some long equation had finally balanced. "Then here is mine for you," she said, and spoke a new chord, simple and bright, a name only one person would ever hear, the Ilari gift for chosen kin. He felt it settle into him like harbor light. The lighthouse woke and turned its face toward home. And on the balcony above the black, whispering sea, Ilariel and Aron kept the bind they had chosen, not as chain but bridge, and watched the future come in like tide. The shuttle soared above the ocean cities of Alara Prime, where dawn painted the waters in gold and rose. Aron stood at the viewport, watching the twin suns braid their light across the horizon. Beside him, Ilariel's copper-edged mantle shimmered like living fire. On the landing concourse, the Ilari elders awaited. They bowed, not just to their princess, but to the bind upon her wrist that joined her fate to his. For the first time in years, Ilariel stood tall, her voice ringing clear. "Ilariel of Seven returns, and she does not return alone." The declaration sealed what her smirk had once made a game. The crowd echoed her name, but Aron only smiled quietly, knowing he had recognized her before the world dared to. That evening, beneath the rebuilt spire of the lighthouse, they stood together on a balcony above the black, whispering sea. The wind played with her mantle. Starlight caught the copper fringe. She turned to him, her eyes softer now. "When I first said those words," she admitted, "it was a shield. Guess my real name and I'm yours. I thought to trick fate. But you didn't take me, you stood beside me." Aron's gaze never wavered. "I didn't guess, Ilariel. I recognized you. I've been listening for your name my whole life." For a heartbeat, silence filled with the sound of surf and starlight. Then she spoke a new chord, bright, resonant, intimate, a secret name given only once in an Ilari's life. She gave it to him. The lighthouse lit, casting its beam across the sea. Aron felt the gift settle in his chest like harbor fire. Not a chain, not a trick, bridge. And together, they stepped into the tide of their future.